So thank you so much for coming. This is very exciting to have a full house with our star, Helen Meyrowitz. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Cherie Clinton, the artist in residence and the Interim gallery director. So I had the honor and the pleasure to select work from Helen's home to create this exhibit here. And just a couple of words about why I selected what I did, and then I'm going to hand things over to Helen. I started with the piece in the back here with the figure, which is an early work pre-North Hill. Helen worked quite a bit with the figure and pattern. And so much of the work that progresses from that tells the story of her move from her home and her studio and the changes that come along with that in her journey to North Hill. And the rest of the pieces, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, were created during her time here in her studio in her apartment, with I think the most recent piece being the Three Fates and the Crouching Tiger pieces. So with that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Helen to be able to speak about the work.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Because my voice is not good anymore. In any event, so many old friends, and that's used in two different ways. But thank you, George. I mean, there's people here that I haven't seen in a while, and that's because I have not been out that much and they haven't. But I do appreciate this very much, that North Hill has given me this opportunity to show the work. Most of this work is spoken for, but I did not want to live with blank walls in my own home, so I kept them until such time where I won't be caring about the blank walls. In any event, I thank you so much for coming. I will make a brief introduction written down, because through all the lectures I have given in my life, I must say my memory is not what it was. And then we'll go directly to the work, because that's why we're here. Okay, so my intro, this strange activity that we call art is as old as humans. There has never been a culture without one or more of the arts. We may not always have had a word for it, or even totally an acceptable definition of the word. What we do seem to have an agreement on is that artworks create an imaginative experience for both the maker and the viewer. Probably the imaginative experience may well be the best definition of art. It is my belief that drawings often reveal as much about the artist as it does about art. They are the most telltale form of visual art. To quote Aristotle, and that's always a good beginning, the aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. You will hear me make mention of the universal collective unconscious, as well as the personal unconscious. You will hear words from Freud, Jung, myths, and dreams. All will become clearer as we discuss the drawings. So, with that introduction, I'm going to remain seated because I have reached a very ripe old age. In any event, I think the best way to start Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna-
You tell me which piece and I'll hold my
the three
fates.
Yeah, the three fates.
I can pull it off the wall and hold it up to white top.
The three fates. If those of you were here, we locked down over COVID, just as everybody else did, which gave me the opportunity to go into my studio because I didn't have to be concerned anymore about putting up a show. And I thought, okay, how do I talk about what's happening, about COVID? And I thought, and waited for my muse, and I'll talk about my muse. And one night she came and said, the three fates. This is, I should say that my master's degree is in mythology. And of course, that is a very important part of my thinking and the way I approach art. So we have the three, I think I have to get up for this. We have the three sisters, the three fates, as they're known, and they arrive 3 days after the child is born. This is all part of mythology, and you can read about it. It's most fascinating. So they come 3 days after the child is born, and then they decide the fate of that child. And as powerful as Zeus is, he cannot change it. If the fate's decided, that's it. So we have their three sisters, the one who weaves the cord of life, that is Clotho. The middle sister, or goddess, because that's what they are, is the one that measured it. And the last sister, Atropos, she's the one who decides when to cut it. And when that line is cut, Zeus, no one can change it. That is destiny. And they are called the three fates. You can look them up. It's a fascinating story, myth, and that's the way. So I wanted to do this. Here we were, locked down in COVID, and I thought, how can I discuss this? How can I make art about COVID? People are dying. And I remembered the myth of the three fates, and I got as far as this point. And I said, well, what have I got? I haven't talked about the three fates in terms of COVID and what was happening in the world. I simply drew a picture of the three fates. And I spent another 2 months racking my head as to how I can bring this up to the contemporary situation. And that's what I feel art should do. It has to be able to tell its story. Hidden, but once you get it, it's fascinating. So I came across a book that I have tons of books where they, if you've heard of stopgap photography, where you can see a picture of a flower growing in front of you, that's stopgap photography. You keep taking pictures as it changes. Well, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Then I thought, I will take, this is Atropos who cuts the cord. I will give her that approach. She has many, many scissors cutting, 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 cutting. And you see the lifelines piling up as people's lives are shortened and they are dying. And that was, I finished that and I said, that's fabulous. I'm really fascinated with the whole idea. Do you have any questions about this picture? Anything you would be interested in asking? Of course, the other thing that I would like you to really look at is the one thing that I am proud of, and that's the line. Drawing, I trained to paint. I've been trying to do just about everything, but it's really the line that I feel expresses everything I need to say. So that's the story of the three fates. Any questions?
I do have a second mic, so I can bring it around for questions, but I can't do the mic and hold the painting at the same time. So I'm going to hang this back up while you think about your questions.
Yeah. I think, while that's being hung up, I will fill in a few things, some information that you will find important in this whole talk, and that is, I am a product of many years of psychotherapy. I have been analyzed from top to bottom, and I'm extremely grateful. It has opened my awareness of the unconscious, and that is what I find the most important facet of most artists, whether they're aware of it or not, is the unconscious. Anyhow, let's start with another series. Mythology. As I said, my master's is in mythology, and we can start with that one.
Red or yellow?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's talking about the red piece.
Okay.
No, I think we'll leave it. You want me to leave it there or bring it up?
Yeah, you can leave it there. Leave it there. Zeus, when you see that little pooty flying around, you know that there's hanky-panky going on. Zeus, who can transform himself into anything to get into the, to have an affair with a woman. I can put it in a different way. But anyhow,
You almost did.
we have, this is the daughter, that this picture is called Danae and the Shower of Gold. Titian's done it. A number of the great artists have also used mythology as their subject. And she is the beautiful princess of a king. And a seer told the king, told his fortune and said, your daughter will marry and her husband will kill you. Well, that was enough for him to decide to have her sequestered in the top of the castle, where that's where she was going to stay. But Zeus, who could see everything, and anytime there's a beautiful woman, makes me think of the paper that I'm reading today. That's how, in any event, he decides that he doesn't care that she's up there. he can transform himself into anything. So you see the little pootie up there, that's Zeus. And he has decided to come through the window in a shower of gold and have his way with this princess. And she gives birth to Perseus. And we can hear more about him later on. But mythology is fascinating. The next one is also part of the mythology theme that I did. And that's Actaeon is, you see the deer or sitting there, the stag, and that's Artemis, who is the goddess of the wild animals. She is bathing with her nymphs nude. Artemis is, Actaeon is a young man, a hunter, and he has been hunting in, for deer, and he comes across Artemis bathing with her nymphs, and that's a no-no. So he turns around, he realizes he shouldn't be there, and he starts to run away. But Artemis turns him into a stag, and as such, his own hounds run after him, kill him. Now, I have changed that whole scene. Here is poor Artemis. Artemis is the goddess. Actaeon, he is seated there. It's sort of tongue-in-cheek. He's there now, but he is not dangerous because he is half person and half stag. And that is her punishment for this young man who had the nerve to watch her bathe nude. I tell you, if you want to read hot stories, look at mythology. Yeah, it'll blow your mind. Anyhow, I got a kick out of that. So there she is. She couldn't give a damn about him. He's sitting there, transformed into a deer. And too bad. That's it. So that is what it's called armchair mythology, because each one, I did a whole series, has a chair in it. And that allows me to be part of it, tell you the story the way I want to tell it. And this was a whole series. There are more of them here, I think.
That intense red says blood to me. That intense red says blood to me, but you've told a different tale.
Well, I think that's interesting. If it is, it's unconscious.
Hold your mic up.
It's unconscious. It's unconscious on my part, because blood is part of it. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's had it. So, you know, it's just fascinating mythology, and it also helped me to sort of reach the unconscious, and we'll get to that later on too. Okay, I think there's any questions? Yeah.
You began by saying that art is to make meaning. To make meaning.
Yeah.
And for you, you said mythology is a very important part of that. This is not an art question, but I'm very interested as to why you either were attracted to or ended up deciding to focus on Greek mythology. There's Indian mythology. I mean, every culture has a mythology and stories. So what was it about the Greek mythology that drew you in so that you focused on it to this extent?
Because it's the most popular. Generally, more people have heard of the Greek mythology, and we're part of that is also prevalent in art in the United States and in general. The Greek mythology it also, Rome took it from the Greek, but it's true, mythology is part of the entire world, and that's what we'll get to when we talk about the collective unconscious. Now remember, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I am an artist working through the unconscious to bring forth that which I know is there in me and in all of us, the collective unconscious. Okay?
Thank you.
Is there yeah, there's that one. Well, get out. Oh, okay. This one, I must mention the chair. That is me. In order to be able to tell you these stories, I have to be there, and I have to be the storyteller. So every one of these, if you look at them, you will see that there is a chair. And that is my presence. In any event, this one is Deianira. Deianira is the wife of Hercules. They are on a trip, and they come to a river that has to be forded. So they have the centaur, who is Nessus, Nessus, who makes a living by ferrying people across the river. So he says to Hercules, I'll take your wife across and you follow. Well, once he's got her in his arms, and they were very, very horny bunch, in any event, he decides he likes what he's got, and he is racing away. So you have all the, because the centaur is half man and half horse, you see many legs and a lot of linear motion to indicate racing, running. He likes what he's got, and he's getting away with it. Hercules sees Deianira is crying, oh my God. It's like exhibit headache number 3. She screams, and he shoots him with an arrow, poison arrow, and he dies. But before he dies, and before Hercules gets her back, he tells Deianira, if you take my blood, and you know Hercules is going to look for other women, if you put this blood on his shirt, he won't do it. Okay? So she does, she falls for this. As it happens, of course, he dies, that is, the centaur dies. Hercules, true to mythology, immediately finds another lady he would like. So, Deianira, just believing the centaur, who wraps his shirt with this poison. She puts the blood, which she thinks is going to be turn Hercules back to her. Instead, she sends the shirt to Hercules, he puts it on, and he dies a horrible death. There's 2 things in mythology horrible deaths and lots of hanky-panky. In any event, when De Janeiro realizes that she has been fooled, she kills herself because her husband is now dead and she's done it. So again, you see the chair is always clear. I am in this picture. I am in every one of these. It's the chair. I am a contemporary person.
You have two chairs there.
Yeah, yeah. 1, 2, or a chaise lounge.
So you're in twice?
Hmm?
So you're in the picture twice?
Where's the chair in the three fates?
The three faces is a different story. It's a different myth.
Okay. If Hercules dies in that story, is that the end of him in all of Greek mythology, or does he reappear later?
Oh, Hercules has a whole history before this.
Oh, but after?
After?
I'm not aware of after. So anyhow, and the little pooties, they represent Zeus and his his ability to help himself to any lady he likes. This is really fascinating. They were a very interesting bunch. There are at least 4 more of this series. They're gone. They were sold. And these are also, taken. But I could not live in my apartment without any art, so until such time. Okay, so that is, okay, let's go to this one, where you have the chairs, the booties. When I don't have a pressing idea, I still have to draw and I still have to work. So what I have done here is to take parts of every single, the chairs, the paintbrush, the booties. You can see I don't have any of the hard hat drawings, but there were bows for the hats. I took all the emblems or symbols and decided to make a drawing. And I love lines. Drawing is really the thing that gives me the greatest pleasure. I'm trained as a painter and even as a printman, but it's line. And so I took these particular pieces and made a composition out of them. And I sort of love it because anywhere you look, I mean, there's action going on, and it's still the story of everyone and the element of everything in here. And I
Helen,
think
can I
that's-
interject?
That's it, please.
Helen, may I interject a moment? May I interject a moment
Yes.
about, she didn't want me to put that piece in here. But I have to say, the lyrical line, the quality of line and mark making that you see, I think we might be going backwards, that might be an earlier piece, or in the middle of, between series, that lyrical mark is something that is just so clear in every series of work that you've done, and it's just a masterful use of the material, in my humble opinion. But it carries in beautifully to the three fates as well. So even though there's some time between these two, it's a nice meeting, and you can you can just see that line carried through all of the work. I'm very curious to hear you talk about the crouching tiger, which is hiding in the corner behind you.
The crouching tiger. I had a very special model. She actually was a Pilates instructor. And if you went to her studio, it looked more like a torture chamber. There were bars that hung down, wires, all kinds, she could do anything. And we had an agreement, she would model in return for drawings. And so I was very fortunate because she could take any position. She also understood that I was interested in different parts of clothing that would also kind of make me think of another approach with these. So she came in one day and she had on an ocelot helmet. It wasn't the face of a tiger. Where is that drawing? Behind me. Yeah. It was just she picked it up in a secondhand store, which is what she was always doing. And I had different outfits and things, and she would bring in crazy stuff that we would work with. So she put on the hat, it was a helmet, and a striped pants, and she just moved around, and I said, threatening, threatening. And she took that pose, of where she was gonna jump out. I said, great, hold it. So I was able to do the drawing. She could hold that pose for about 20 minutes at a time. And then she'd go right back into it and chalked it up and everything. And I had the complete drawing, and I was so excited with it, but I didn't know what to do with it. So it sat there, the drawing was there, and it took a while. It was completed. I have the dates here. It was completed quite a bit later. As I looked at it, I realized that's a crouching tiger. And I made the hat into a tiger helmet, and I added the whole background. That came at least 6 months after the drawing. I had the drawing, and I loved it. It was always hanging in my studio. And I don't know if I even, will ever give that up. It'll go to my family. But the background is interesting because it's charcoal and it's black ink. But the yellow is actually, if you have ever shortened anything, the yellow chalk that you'll mark a hem with, that's what that is. That is, the yellow there. And I love that because it's very threatening, but it's very exciting at the same time. So, if you have any questions, just ask before I continue. So, okay.
Do you want? I'll ask this.
What is your medium? Are you using something that's a wax? Is it a wax, black that you're using?
Not the black is ink.
Oh, it's just ink. Okay.
The yellow is the wax.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
What are the initials on her shoulder?
sorry.
You were talking about red, okay? What is red results?
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
You were talking about red, just pieces. That it's like presented unconscious.
Oh, the collective unconscious?
Oh, the collective.
Yes. So what are those blacks? Where let's see. Blacks? Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, is the black her collective unconscious?
Something, right? Red is unconscious. What?
I will get to that. It really, what that is, you know, is if you ask me, how do I get these ideas? How do I translate this? I have worked with dream therapy for many years. I am very strong. I've worked with primarily Freudian, but Jung is really where I find myself most comfortable. And in the middle of the night, or at any time, I will get a dream, and I will wake up and write it down. And then it's up to me to decipher what I dreamt, because it doesn't come out very clearly. It doesn't come out and say, well, now you're going to do this or that. I have to learn to interpret my dreams, which is one of the hardest things, but where I probably spent the most time in therapy, finally catching on to that. So it took quite a while, and I didn't understand it, but I accept it, and it talks to me, and I refer to it as my muse. But I have to interpret it. So there's one series that is at Harvard. They took the whole series, and they're in North Hill said if I wanted to, they would take a bus and we could go see it. But it is called The Wind Beneath My Wings. And to give you a little more insight into my own personal experience, is that I woke up one night, if you remember that movie, with Bette Midler singing about a friend that was dying, "You are the wind beneath my wings." And I woke up with that song in my head, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was not my husband who had Alzheimer's waking me up. It was this dream. And as soon as I got out of bed the next morning, I wish I had that series to show you, but it's at home. And I have, maybe some of you have seen it, because I know that you have.
I've got the book.
Yeah.
Where at Harvard is it?
Yeah, it's at Harvard.
Where?
At the
Medical school?
the
Harvard Medical
We have a question over here.
I'm trying to
Helen?
remember the name.
I have your book of your series. That's at Harvard.
Yeah.
You want me to bring it down? I'll be happy to get it.
If anybody's interested, we can go and look at it. They'll be happy, to accommodate us. But
The medical school.
it's part of the medical school. Yeah. In any event, now I lost my trend. You asked me about that. Where was I? The dreams. Yeah. I think Nancy could probably talk more about that, but it really, it's there. For me, it's there. It talks to me, and I have to decipher it. It doesn't come out and say, now this. As a matter of fact, that series, The Wind Beneath My Wings, when I got up in the morning and I said, wind, wind, so I took, paper and charcoal, and I did wind, and I just drew wind. Wait, what's going to happen now? Wind. The next thing that happened is that this bird flies in, and the eagle, maybe we'll all go and see it. The eagle's hands is grabbing onto the wind, his talons, but they're not, they turn into hands. And I'm now working, I know it sounds weird, but it's very true. I'm now working from this place. And it's holding on, and it says, "You're not getting away." And that is Alzheimer's. I was absolutely dead with tiredness and unhappiness because I kept my husband with me, and Alzheimer's is not a happy situation. In any event, I won't go into that. But it all came out in this dream. Now, I know this may be very hard for people to understand, but it's real. And in an event, I became, as a friend of mine who was dying, left me a book by Jung. There were only 200 copies originally, and then the family stopped having it printed. She gave me one of the original copies. She said, "You're the one who should have this." And so I had this book written by Carl Jung with all his drawings that he took a year of his life just working with his unconscious and making these incredible drawings. In any event, I still have it, and years later, they decided to print a few more. So originally there were only 200 copies, but if you're interested, you could buy one. How much do they cost now?
About $150.
They reprinted them. So, and they're fascinating. They're all of Jung's drawings during that year where he pressed himself to put himself in touch with his unconscious and nearly drove himself batty or the rest of his family. It's quite fascinating. Yeah.
So this question is about your crouching tiger picture, and it occurred to me before what you just said, but maybe related. So when I look at that picture, I see a lot of motion. What's the motion about?
It's implied, it's crouching, it's dangerous. It is, thank you, because this is a static pose, but it doesn't come across that way. It comes across like it's going to jump right out of the picture.
What's the significance of the letters on the right shoulder?
Sorry?
There's stripes. I don't think they're letters, I think they're stripes.
She had striped pants on.
She was reading the stripes as letters.
the
They do,
letters?
it looks like K11 from here. It's just the stripes of the fabric, the way it was bending.
I'm interested in what you said about the yellow and collective unconscious, because when I think of yellow, I think of happy, sunny, warm. So can they live side by side, threatening and happy in one unconscious?
Well, an ocelot hat has a lot of yellow. The animal has a lot of yellow. It's strictly taken from life, the particular color. But that is what art is about. You look at it and you see what you see, which is marvelous if you take the time to look, if you just don't walk past things, and you take the time to say, why is that there? And what is that color? You know, how do I respond to that color? It takes time, and it's worth it. It's worth it. And so that's
Two questions.
Helen, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your process. For example, do you work on many images at the same time? And is there any timeline? How long do most of these images take? What's the timeline from vision to final product?
There is no timeline. Like the crouching tiger, I had the pose. I didn't know what the hell to do with it. So I just had the drawing. And then it just comes to me. How does one talk? Nancy, maybe you could help me. I don't know. It is just something that when you can reach that other part of you, the other intelligence that is in you, you can't get there just by saying, I'm going to do it. It could take years of studying and understanding, and then when you get into that, you don't know how long it's going to last. You just got to be very lucky. Put it aside until it comes back again. But it is very hard to explain, especially since it can't be called up. It just comes when it wants to come or when you need it. Nancy, have you got an idea? Please.
Yeah, I can say a couple things about this. This isn't the artistic process that Helen's talking about so much, it's just the way that dreams work. They are not in language. They're in a whole different communicative realm, which is much more visual. And it takes some effort to translate what the vision in a dream is about. And it's very personal. You don't have any control over what you dream. It just happens. It comes from the depths of your own inside and your, to some extent, the experiences that you had the day before. Completely unconscious.
The book that you were talking about, I have it because it was a donation to the Alzheimer's Fund. So I hope they have it in the library here. Do they have it in the library?
Yes.
I have given copies and they disappear.
Oh.
I don't have any left. Of the, yes, I do have some of them, but I've already given any number to the library and they just disappear.
It has just been confirmed there is a copy in the library.
What?
There is a copy in the library.
There is now?
There is.
Okay, because the other day I looked and there wasn't.
Maybe it got checked out.
In any event, we'll move on now to the smaller drawings, and they all have the story of my being forced to move from New York to North Hill. I am here 23 years, and it doesn't look anything like the place I came to. In any event, as you can see, they all have to do with leaving my house. I could not have my model any longer because moving furniture and everything went into whatever we needed to take, went into my studio, and I couldn't have a model. So what I did was to take paper from my pad, ripped it out, and I looked at the raw edge and I said, there you are, being ripped out of my life. I was teaching, I was very active, I was, had shows in New York, and I was being ripped out of my life. I was told that my husband, well, I saw it, but I was in denial. And I decided, we'll be fine. We have a house, I can take care of it. I can do it. But my daughter said, you've got to be near family. And she lived here. And so I found myself in North Hill. I never looked anywhere else. This is where you're coming, Mom. And that's where I ended up. Anyhow, my husband, we came here in 2002, and he died in 2010. And my first thought was that I would head right back to New York. But I had already at that point established myself here. I saw the opportunity to create a gallery to make North Hill. If I couldn't have what I wanted there, I needed to help create something that kept me here, because I did have a child here and a grandchild. So that is what I did. But anyhow, that whole series behind you are no model. I was in my studio, and it's all saying goodbye, goodbye, house. That couch was our couch. You see the circles there? Those indicate in landscape drawings trees. And you see a staircase going up, and I'm going to North Hill, like it or not. And you see the paper ripped off the top. You're going, kid. And there I found in an old book a hospital bed, an ancient hospital bed that was made of iron. I don't know if it was from World War what, but that's the way I figured it, that it's going to be something terrible. And just thoughts about leaving, and the beds in circles, and which are indications of landscapes and drawings. And the other one is layers, and they're all house, that indication of a child's drawing of a house, and layers of building layers. So I had, I think, 30 of them. I kept drawing those things because I couldn't. But that, when I tore them out of the pad, that was the name, torn out of my life. And I left the edge. So I pretty much have covered what you see here, and I'm ready for any kind of question. And if I'm not able to take it, maybe my muse will.
Helen, when I moved to North Hill, your exhibit of all these movings was at the Danforth, and that was the first thing I saw. I got there early, and you walked me around and explained it. I think all of us should realize that it was Helen who pushed and pushed and pushed to get this art gallery done. And we are the recipients of a wonderful legacy and damn determination.
I appreciate that.
I have a comment. I think the Crouching Tiger is Helen's determination.
Determined I was.
Thank goodness.
Helen, I just think everyone should know that
after this episode and a lot of time and effort, we have the picture that you've donated to North Hill by the concierge desk that is the flowering of your, already starting to flower again as you came here, if I recall correctly. And people should know that that's there and that it reflects your growth, your change.
Thank you.
And Helen is also responsible for the North Hill collection of permanent art, which is coming back.
There's a marvelous picture of Helen's in the connector on the third floor, the connector to Avery, which is part of the gifts that artists who've just exhibited here have given to North Hill.
That's what's on
It's on.
It's moved. It's coming back.
Okay, so it's on loan or something now.
Yeah.
Right. There's also a picture of somebody on a trapeze that's down in the movement studio, right above the hi-fi equipment. I'd like to think it's you flying.
Yeah, that was my model on one of those.
Is there a question?
I ask this reluctantly because you probably spoke of it. Where do you store all these?
I had to wait 6 months for my apartment. It's a 2-bedroom. The second bedroom was immediately made into a studio. It never was a bedroom. And I was able to keep my husband with me, which was very fortunate. It isn't something I would recommend normally, but for me it was easy because, first of all, he was wonderful. It was my husband. I will tell you this personal story. I was not allowed to go to college. I am first generation. My mother is a survivor of the Holocaust. I was to have children. I was to be married and give her back what she lost. I was not allowed to go to college. In any event, my husband, I met him by chance and got married, and he said, if you don't follow your dream, you will never be happy, and I will help you. He helped me get through my undergraduate and graduate work. You can't get more lucky than that. So, very grateful. And so
That's wonderful.
It's a good story. That's the best story.
Doesn't get better than that.
And thank you for sharing that to us.
I just want to say that I met Helen at the Danforth Museum well before I was even thinking about a place like North Hill. I don't know if you remember, I think it was, okay. And speaking for myself, one of perhaps the most important determining factor of which place to choose to spend these years, North Hill came out on the top, consciously or unconsciously, because of Helen, what you did.
Helen, you're the best.
So I thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And I hope it's given you a little more understanding about the drawings. That's the most important, you know, so that you should, wherever you're looking at art, look, don't run by. Don't say, oh, I don't like that. You know, stand there a while, think about it. Let your mind grasp some of the things you're looking at and seeing. There is a story behind every one of them. And that is why art will always survive. And I think it's fascinating. There's a cartoon that I've always loved, and I guess I'll end with that. You have two cavemen. Each one has been given a part of the cave to decorate. One is painting, as you would expect a caveman to paint, a stick figure, you know, with an arrow, and very simple. The other one is painting a Rembrandt on his wall. He turns around, he looks at his friend, he says, I wish I can relax like you do. And that's part of art is, you know, relaxing. Let yourself just look without making comments originally. So thank you for coming.